On today's episode, we have Julia from Soul Wisdom, a former corporate professional who walked away from the fast structured world to follow. She's now the founder of Soul Wisdom, where she guides women through emotional healing, inner recognition, and life transition with a blend of energy work, Akashic recordings, and her own lived transformation. Julia's work is rooted in helping women trust themselves, honor their inner rhythm, and find clarity during the most overwhelming seasons of life. I'm super excited to dive into her journey and the small shifts that changed everything for her. So, Julia, let's dive right into this.
Hi. Hi, Manal. Thanks for having me.
You moved from the corporate world into spiritual and women's healing world.
That's a huge question. And, I don't think that it was like one dramatic turning point. It was more like a very slow, luminous unfolding of my
Mm.
soul codes that wanted to come through. It felt more like a soft, like cracking open from the inside that my divine self wanted to shine through. And honestly, like also the last job, I loved it. But like if we take the scales, there was also that kind of like a knowing inside that this wasn't it. And there was always that deep spiritual side of me, that seeker in a way that like wanted to ask like the big questions of life. And there came a point where I felt that there was a fragmentation and I literally like had to put on my head going to work in the morning, but then it didn't feel so good all along. And there were all of these different hats. Like there was me as the keeper of the family nervous system. There was me as, the corporate performer. And then whenever I allowed myself for, let's say, 10 minutes of meditation a day, that was my spiritual self. So it felt kind of full, like my life as a whole, but it also felt very fragmented. And also, with all of these identities that we shape, there is like layers upon layers with expectations, like culture, and the roles that we play. And I just remember that, there was a point where in meditation, I understood that like this needs to stop. You can't fragment yourself anymore. Like if you want to live an aligned, fulfilled life, and I could also I could feel it in my body. There were a lot of times where my body was just like clenching and closing up. And it takes a little bit of time to like listen to these signs as well. But yeah, that knowing remained that I am meant to lead from remembrance and not performance, and that I am meant to live from my divine soul self, not from those social identities. And so it really felt like my essence was knocking, from the inside, like on the shelves, like, hello, hello, I'm here. Like, can you please allow me to take over? And so it really felt like this gentle crack in my consciousness as that becoming the first breadcrumb of the path I now walk, like guiding women back to their own original, what I call blueprint, through sacred travel, through the circles that I'm holding monthly, lineage healing, and also priestess wisdom or wise woman wisdom. You can call it whatever you like.
I want to actually go back to that time where you were in corporate, you were satisfied, you were happy, but you still felt that knowing that something wasn't okay. Because a lot of women are going through that, especially, when we cross the 40s. If you can share, what was the hardest identity shift for you personally? And how did you navigate? This was your hardest shift that you needed to go through, and what you did to make that decision that, hey, I'm no longer aligned with this corporate job, even though it brought you a lot of joy and there was nothing wrong with that, which is also really beautiful. There wasn't any big moment of, okay, there is burnout and hence I need to do this. For you, it
That came
came.
before. It has been there, but that was before.
So if you
It's
can
part
tell
of the
us about
journey.
it, how someone can navigate that. If you can give us little clues of what you did and what was
Yeah.
that, that identity that you felt that you no longer resonated with.
Mm. I love that. And, I feel we are a lot less aware of the identities that we create. Like even on a spiritual path, there is so much what I lovingly call like spiritual ego. So the identities that we put on in terms of like, oh, I identify with the term priestess or witch, like how does she dress? What does she wear? like all of these things. But so when we are in corporate, I feel it's for me, it's been less about the identity. It's been more around mm, the entity, maybe, or the energy of like surrendering to the false sense of control that
Mm.
mental structures, mental concepts, or identities, connections that you have in specifically the corporate world, how they keep you safe versus really like finding your own path. And I feel for years I have lived in a world where structure and mental concepts, mental strengths, and also everything needed to be certain, everything needed to be planned out, and where that defined me and it defined my life. And it also helped me to know who I was because yeah, that was just like the frame of operation, right? And I feel this is what a lot of women do. And now we are coming more and more to the awareness, not just personally, but as the feminine collective, that this is no longer true for us. It's no longer working if we don't balance it out with something else, or if we don't start to listen to our bodies in the way of like allowing our body to tell us like, hey, slow down. um, and so when I left corporate to, I had founded Soul Wisdom already, but I was kind of like on lost ground, right? So, because I've never been an entrepreneur, it hasn't been my idea to become an entrepreneur. So you're like, okay, here I am. What do I do? There was nothing familiar, nothing to hold on to as well. But then it's really been in these moments of not like trying to reinvent myself, but really surrendering that the path is already let out, and like leading with my energy instead. And there is a mantra that up to the day, I tell it to my clients, to everyone, but I also tell it to myself a lot. And that is whatever is meant for you will find you. Like the universe or God or whatever name you have for that source is not allowing anything that is really meant for you to just yeah, let it not be with you. And so what that means is that the universe will literally conspire in the most suspicious ways that our mind is not even able to grasp, to like give you opportunity after opportunity to finally let that sink into awareness and realize, wait a second, like this is for me. And that is really truly something I believe in, that I have experienced, and that I also see that clients are experiencing that. And so for me, it's a lot about, ritual. Like I was replacing rituals as meetings, like putting my divine guides, and an armada of like my helpers from the other side as advisors that became my compass. And that is something that I keep up like to the day. It's really for me, what worked was also like setting energetic templates that became my structure, because I understood how to direct energy in a certain way so it becomes our reality. And that can be very simple. You don't have to be an energy worker or an energy healer for that. It's just like the understanding of how you actually create your reality every single day. And also like going back to the identities, of course, that rewires a lot. And for me, the travel has always been a big part of whether it's been private or in my corporate life. And it's really been sights, it's been landscape, it's been, yeah, the Mother Earth as a living, breathing being herself who guided me into a deeper knowing of who I truly was. Through that help, I am able to shed a lot of identities, and also to be able to hold myself through a mini death process in terms of like, that identity is actually no longer serving you. So can we let that go? And then what else wants to emerge from that? And that is also a lot of the work that I weave into, or why I'm so passionate about like these sacred sites travels and intimate small women groups, because I feel that it really supports us in these cycles of becoming and unbecoming.
Wow. That's a lot of rituals that you've spoken about. I didn't plan to do this, but while listening to you, I wanted to ask if it would be possible, someone who is feeling very busy, overwhelmed, lonely, even though they have all of these relationships in their life. There's that moment, there's this disconnection with self. And I know you've transitioned from to entrepreneurship, which can feel all of those things. But like you said, you have a lot of practices, rituals throughout the day. If you can guide us through something which is like a 1 minute for someone starting out, for example, and does not have access to all of this world of information. Of course, I will share your circles, which I've been part of, which are beautiful on a monthly basis to be part of, and they will have access to all of that information. But just right now, if you can guide us through maybe a one
Hmm.
minute ritual that you practice that
Yeah.
grounds you, connects you, and even if they don't have structure, they can feel that guidance coming in.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'd love to. So if it feels safe for you right now, then I invite you to close your eyes with us, and you can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, your womb space, and dropping the center of gravity from your mind into your heart and then also into your belly. So really feeling that shift of gravity, that shift of focus into the lower parts of your belly. And then I'm inviting you to breathe in, take a deep, deep breath into your heart, and really feel your chest expand and your heart open. Feel the chamber of your heart open. And then breathing out again. And then taking another deep breath into your belly, into your womb space, and allowing your belly to really blow up like a balloon. Holding the energy for a moment in here, and then breathing it out again. And feel your belly to come back to its natural form. And then I want you to imagine a golden line, a straight line that is connecting your belly, your heart, and your brain, your mind, like a golden spine. And take 3 deep breaths into that golden spine, into that connection of all of these 3 important energy centers in your body, bringing the coherence between your hearts, between that which you want to create in the world, and also the ideas, the vision, the mental. And then allow everything to soften and your hands just come back to their natural position, and you can open your eyes again. And welcome back.
Thank you. That was really, really beautiful. Thank you so much. That really
You're
felt like I'm not no longer in my head and I'm not like future thinking of what I need to do, but just being in this moment. So it was a beautiful connection. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's
Now that we
simple.
did, yeah, it was simple. That's what we need. Simple, under 1 minute. So there is no, I am super busy. I cannot sit for meditation. I can't quiet my mind. So now, with that beautiful practice, would you be able to share with us what does your morning, your during your day and night look like?
Yes, yes, yes. I'd love that. And I just want to say a little disclaimer because maybe what I'll be going to share might feel overwhelming, or it might feel that's a lot. Like I can never do that. And to that, I just want to say, like, I started very simple, and it's a cultivation of a practice, an accumulation of like a practice over several years to become that and to do that, and also a conscious choice of ingraining my life with these energetic practices, because I have just found that for me personally, this is the way how I get more of life. If for you it looks totally different, that is fine. And if you start out, in fact, I would also recommend to start out with just one practice and then stick with that for 21 days to cultivate a new routine and then add on a second layer. So, this is how slowly but surely you change the things in your life or maybe the routines with an overlay of a deeper connection, a deeper alignment, instead of just like wanting to change everything, which usually doesn't really work so well. So when I'm not on a retreat or guiding a group, just like being at home, I create all of those mini moments for more connection in everyday life. So I start my day, for example, by anointing myself with sacred oils that I have collected from different places around the world. So that is from Egypt, from France, or Morocco. Honor the temple that I live in, to honor the temple that my spirit lives in, and also to activate my energy body. Then usually I do a very quick practice, just like we did now, 1 minute, 2 minutes, to activate my energy body and to focalize my energy into the here and now. So bringing all my layers of becoming into the here and now and focus on what I want to do today. And then when I sit down on my desk, I light a candle. I invoke my guides, sometimes also for certain projects. Honestly, for this podcast conversation, I have an energetic templates let out. So this is all for me. It helps me to really not scatter my energy around and to stay in the present moment. And then usually it's a lot about connecting to nature for me. So either I go for a walk or I go into my garden. So you don't have to have access to a lot, but I feel the beauty of living in Switzerland, like we have patches of land, whether it's mountains or just like forests close by or a stream of water. And just be in nature and allow the energy and the field of nature to come into resonance with your own field. So all of that mental clutter gets reorganized and sorted. And at the end of the day, I have a mini gratitude ritual. This is also really good to be done with the kids when you tuck them in, just like have them think of something that they really liked or that they are really grateful for on that day. And again, it's kind of like bringing my energy back to me. So clearing, cleansing myself, especially if I had a lot of clients, appointments, making sure that everything that belongs to me is back. Because I feel everything that I do, like even if it's cooking or driving or tending to my home, like even for us as a family sitting down at the table or having a work meeting, it becomes an act of co-creation when it is done with presence. And so it's very simple, but it's also, or it was revolutionary for me because we're not trained to live in that way, and it completely rewires the fabric of reality when you do it. So just as a mini offering, I do have a free program on my website. If anybody feels called to explore that, it's called 22 Days of Mastering Your Creatrix Powers, where it's all about this. Like it's daily rituals from my personal collection to cultivate more connection, more alignment, and direction that is built in partnership with the earth.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Actually, I think that's a great way for someone who wants to have a deeper connection with themselves, even if they're working in corporate or they've dabbled into entrepreneurship, whatever phase of life, what you have shared is very intentional, conscious practices that can be done and incorporated in a simple, slow manner. And that gift of the 21 days of having these practices aligned is beautiful because I will share that. For anyone who listens to this podcast, they can have access to this guide and also access to what you offer on a monthly basis if they live in the German speaking side of Switzerland, close to Zurich,
Absolutely.
so they can be part of it. I want to thank you, Julia, for your time and for sharing these practices and also doing one with us today. Thank you. That's such a lovely gift.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I hope that, yeah, what we shared today is going to spark some inspiration in your day when you're listening or watching
Yes,
to this.
absolutely.
Thank
It
you.
brought me back to the present moment because I have a very busy, hectic day, like everyone else does. So it really brought me into staying grounded and to being 100% focused on you. So thank you.
Mm, thank you.